The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
This time on Nude Clan, how involved is China really?
Shall we play a game?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nude Clan, your weekly dose of video game podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Schweiss.
Caleb Craig.
And Cameron.
And today, we're going to be talking about
A little more,
like Chinese influence.
yeah,
in
just
gaming.
based off of kind of what's going on in the world right now. I don't really want to get, dive too deep into everything just because I'm pretty sure people know a lot about it, but just have a conversation amongst ourselves, kind of gauge your guys' opinions of the goings on and how involved in entertainment and media, including video games, China really is in the Western market.
Oh, okay, cool. That'll be a lot of fun. Before we get to that, though, I mean, what have you guys been playing this week?
All right, let's see.
What have you been thinking about playing this week?
Oh man, what have I been thinking about playing? Okay, let's see. I thought about playing Conan Exiles.
Well, I mean, we all thought about playing Conan Exile. That's like inherent within a human being once they experience it, right? You just think about going back all the time.
I also thought about playing that PS3 Conan game.
Conan, augmented reality.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. Why didn't you, Craig? Why not? Does it have trophies?
I think so.
Oh, Conan Platts.
How much of it's isn't that the MMO Conan, or which Conan was it?
No, that's the God of War
There's
one.
two like hack and slash type ones. There's one for the PS2 and one for PS3.
Yeah, play them. Let's actually let's Soulsborne this, where we're playing through all the Soulsborne games. Let's do all the Conan games.
That's
besides
for,
the MMO.
That's for like a separate idea that Schweiss.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
The Conan cast.
You never know.
I mean, we could do seasons.
The best name that's ever been come out with is already taken for that. The Cromcast.
The Cromcast.
Yeah, someone took it.
Cromcast.
Damn.
Nice. That's hilarious.
I know.
No. Okay. Yeah. That's right.
The
There's
Lamentation
whole
of the
reasons why we
Podcast
don't want
is
to
the other one.
do
I
that.
do.
But yeah.
Lamentation of their podcast.
Yeah.
Or
What is best in life?
what is
cast.
best in life? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, we get so many people clicking on it, thinking about something else, but
Yeah.
it's Conan.
And then they're like,
No,
oh my God, it's even better.
No,
Welcome
it's-
to the exiled lands, motherfucker.
It's an allegory of life through Conan.
That's right. See, Crom is the best because Crom says get off your ass and fucking do something for yourself. You don't need the gods.
Yeah, Crom doesn't interfere with jack shit.
Crom also
although
hates
he will beat the shit out of you for no particular reason.
He also hates the weak, so he's perfect for
Yeah.
me. Perfect.
What makes you think Crom will think you're perfect for him?
I don't know. That's the whole thing. Is it's an understanding.
Crom doesn't give a shit about you.
Exactly. So it's perfect. It's perfect and it's like
He'd go beat the shit out of you.
that's true. That's true.
That is one thing that I find hilarious is like when they're talking about Crom and some of the stories. Like it's like, yeah, Crom he doesn't do anything, but occasionally he'll get pissed off and just like destroy a bunch of people.
Yeah.
He just gets randomly pissed off about something he's just doing, and then he just kills people. But otherwise, he doesn't interfere with the world.
That's right. That's right. It's perfect God. Just every once in a while you got to smite.
I'm feeling a little smite today.
That's right.
A little smitey.
So
Yeah, sounds like that actually fits really well with my paladin sensibility. Sometimes you just gotta smite.
yeah. You know, those Conan stories, those are the backbone of D&D, right? They invented. They're the
knows?
reason why it exists.
Are they?
Yeah.
Dude, the Conan stories are a reason for a lot of things. I'm pretty sure Robert E. Howard invented, like, tentacle porn and anal beads and, like...
And the Japanese...
And 007.
Period. Like, he invented the Japanese people in the 1930s with his
That's right.
short stories. Before that, they didn't exist. It was primordial ooze that was trying to invade China.
They formed from his brainwaves while
Exactly.
he was writing the Conan stories.
For a magazine. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing work.
I'm convinced now that Robert E. Howard is like the progenitor of all.
Wasn't that what they said about Tolkien for a while?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but really it's Robert E. Howard.
Yeah. Well, I guess Tolkien did a lot too. I mean, I guess.
Kind of like normalized the format for fantasy.
I mean, yeah, but sword and sorcery is like the genre that Conan is in, and like he made that.
Yeah.
He also made like a few other characters like Cole and Solomon Kane, and
Ooh.
then made like the whole fucking huge Hyborian Age style thing, which like was an entire like world like Tolkien was trying to do, but like Robert E. Howard actually did.
Okay.
So
Well, the Conan
Again,
cast sounds
Robert
like
E.
it's
Howard.
more and more something that should happen.
Yeah. I mean, wow, the guy didn't. He only lived till he's 30. What the fuck? That's crazy.
wait, Schwest, do you know what I'm talking about with the tentacle porn thing? Did you get to that one story yet?
I only know that there's tentacled beasts. I don't know about any.
Okay, did you get to the story where like they get stuck in a weird city and there's like some kind of monster there? And, like,
Oh
the
yeah,
people
yeah, I
won't
got
talk
that
to
one.
him?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the tentacle porn one, where she like gets captured by the beast and it like starts rubbing his tentacles all over her when she's naked.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, all right, now I know where tentacle porn comes from. It's Robert E. Howard.
Robert E. Howard.
Yeah, man. He shit. Yeah, he came out with this shit before,
Well, yeah.
even before Tolkien's works.
Yeah, he did.
It's crazy. It seems really old, but like it doesn't seem old. The stories, they don't seem. I don't know. It's weird. It's like one of those things. Like
It's kind of written in more of like kind of the. Does it tend to be more descriptive of everything and take longer to get around to the actiony bits, and then it's just a lot of description.
No,
but then the
it's
stories
kind of like
themselves
he has
are
like a
very,
minor like adventure that he's kind of just doing because Conan just wanders around, does whatever.
I was just talking about like the
And then
writing
he-
itself, though.
No, it's more poetic. His writing
poetic,
is
yeah.
like it's kind of that part of Tolkien. It's not the super like
Right, that's just like the way to write during that time, I guess.
Yeah.
But then the stories themselves,
they feel
they
like
feel
could be written.
modern just
Yeah.
because he kind of set down the format for that.
Kinda,
And that's
yeah.
what our stories follow now.
The exact way that they follow a story is like exactly 007. Like they're basically the exact same.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, it's like him rescuing a chick, and then he gets with a chick at the end after overcoming crazy odds.
Yeah, it's like every time. And yeah, I was just like, okay, well,
And they're
this is
disconnected.
clearly 007.
They're disconnected, like the 007 stories for the most part. They have like the same
I mean,
character,
yeah,
but they
there's
don't.
kind of like a chronological order, which is
Sort
like
of.
where the stories are, but like he just kind of is somewhere randomly.
It's
every
like the
time.
Seinfeld chronology. It's like there's
So
a
kind
timeline.
of like the Vlad
but it's
Tolstoy
any in
books,
it.
then a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't like each book isn't like before the last one or whatever. It just kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like a cartoon. It's like it's just whenever.
And it's like the short stories for the Witcher book series.
Kind of, yeah.
They're just tales wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few where like Conan, it's like clearly in the future though, because there's like one where Conan is like king of Aquilonia.
Yeah.
And then it's like goes back to him wandering around doing shit.
Does that annoy you at all?
Not really.
No, it's kind of cool. It's an interesting idea for a story, and you just have like it's like I said, it's like the perpetual summer.
They're so disjointed that it's like it doesn't matter that there's no cohesive
How many,
timeline for all of them.
How many tablespoons of coffee did you put in?
Just about 10. It was like a little bit under. Why is it kind of watery?
Just a little bit, a little tasteless.
Yeah, I didn't want to grind up more to
Yeah.
let it sit.
And when I do it, I usually put in a little bit more than the amount of cups I have too, because I like my coffee a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Side
that
note,
sucks.
but watery coffee.
Well, it's fucked now. You could always just go put some more beans in there and just...
Beans.
Or just pour the black soot into the...
And just let it
grounds in
settle
there.
out and
Yeah.
then filter it again. I could
Exactly,
do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well. But, yeah.
Yeah,
That
good.
sounds great.
It's cool. It's
It is-
fun.
You should read those. Get that on Audible.
That'll help you catch
kind
up.
of have
It
the
gives
same
you-
where I like the Vlad Taltosh series enough that I don't want to finish it, but it's annoying at the same time because
You
it's
can't.
not
You can't
as
finish it anyway.
it's
because
not
the
as
last book is
interesting. It's not as interesting. Well, aren't the Vlad Taltosh books like 70s, 80s?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's working on like another series at the same time, and he just hasn't I think there's supposed to be 2 more books, and they just haven't come out. And I'm just like,
Fuck it, Craig. Only suggest to me series that are completed from now on.
all right.
You should check out Game of Thrones.
Jesus.
Yeah, what else is there that's not done? There's a lot of stuff that's not done, but like dead.
The fucking
Not done and dead.
The series I'm
Like-
reading right now on Audible is like the Rift War stuff by Raymond E. Feist, and they don't have all the books on Audible, which is really irritating because they have like 1 through 9, and then they skip, and then they're like, here's book 15, and then they skip, here's book 18, and then they're like, here's book 31.
Sounds like someone needs to go and fill in the gaps. But
Yeah.
it's always jarring to have narrators switch in mid-series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like someone needs to sit down and read a book with his eyes. That's what it sounds like to me. Or 13 books.
You know what? I need Audible to just get all the books.
Yeah, it's really annoying when they don't have stuff. I'm like,
Especially if it's a large series, like seriously, it has like 31 something books in it, and then they're like, "Yeah, we're only having."
I
Like
mean, Audible
12
is
of them.
a completely perfect product, and they should definitely go to audibletrials.com
Yeah.
/Nude Clan
yeah, to
to
learn
enjoy
more.
this
Definitely.
experience.
Yeah.
And
That's how you're gonna get,
get a
like
free book.
the completed collection of the Conan books.
Yeah, which you'll want.
Also the Wheel of Time series, and another classic of the Sherlock Holmes series. You know,
mm-hmm.
yeah, all that's on Audible.
Yeah. And then this other series you got me in on, Craig, The Lightbringer. It's another
Dude,
one
I
that I
pre-ordered
like.
that Burning White.
I know. It's another series I like well enough that I want to finish it, but it annoys me in several ways.
Oh, dude, that last book is like 40 hours long. It's nuts. Those other books were only like 24.
I mean, once you have a magic power, you have to explain through some like natural, like you're trying to combine magic and science in a way where we get light through the different prisms of white light. Ooh, and they just make it super gimmicky and stupid sounding, especially with how they use some of the powers in the book. With like they
I
make
don't know. It
they
kinda
make
reminds
solid
me-
light out of like.
It reminds me of like the way that Brandon
And then red light is
Sanderson
explosive.
does his magic systems.
But then Brandon Sanderson comes in and he has a very unique way to use magic, and it doesn't feel
Exactly
super
like the
gimmicky, but it
Lightbringer.
doesn't feel the same way.
How does it not feel gimmicky? Oh, I'm gonna be able to get superpowers by like burning metal through my stomach acid.
Yeah, but at least he's not making like an oozy red paste out of light that blows up.
It's
At
just
least there's a
different
at least-
lights have different properties. Like that's just all it is.
But it's all around people all the time. Whereas in the Mistborn series, you're consuming a metal to have a counter effect. You're consuming something outside of yourself to have an effect elsewhere. Whereas in this one, it's just like, oh, I'll get a hangover if I use too much light.
Well, no, they have to have like special glasses to help them like
To
pull
help
in,
them.
to help them
To
pull
help
in
them,
more
but not
light.
necessary.
And on top of that, like if they use too much of their power, they're going to fucking go mad and die.
Right, I like that aspect of it because it adds a subplot, but and that's kind of what it's exploring: is do they really go mad and die? Oh shit! Don't listen to that last part.
They do.
But I just feel like it contrives so much of this world based off of this form of magic. It just feels too contrived, in my opinion.
I think you're being weirdly picky about it, but all right.
Like they make the fucking boats out of the green Luxon.
Well, yeah, because they have like different properties, so it's like it makes sense.
Just make fucking boats.
They don't
Have the technology because
Yeah.
they're relying on the light that kills them in the end.
Exactly. That's the point. Is like they're using that stuff like constantly, so they don't have like basic abilities, which is why there's like that entire group of people that don't use the magic, and they have fucking guns and cannons and shit. They like if they're advanced in their technology, and the other people who use the magic are like stuck in like the Dark Ages because they're assholes and like only use magic for everything. It's like
I just feel like
they
I just feel like what makes it weird. I just don't like it. The splitting of the light, and then the prism who controls all of the layers of light. And
You know how Cameron gets. Sometimes when something like bothers him, he just lets it like seep, and then he just
it's like
steeps in it.
redemption of Athalas, and then
yeah. See,
it's just like, oh God, you're gonna say the same thing.
he'll
again?
read it 5 times, but he'll get pissed more and more as he goes
Yeah,
along.
that's actually very true.
He's like, God, this fucking thing.
That's why if you reread any of David Eddings' books, you have to like it has to be like 5-10 years later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you forget enough of the story where that story's still interesting, but then like the little quirks that people have don't become
I
overbearing.
just reread all of his stuff again, and I'm like, all right, it's gonna be another decade before I do this again.
Yeah, man, the Dark Tower does that too. It's like everyone has to have their little
quirk.
yeah, their little thing that they pipe up and say, and it's like, shut the fuck up! Like, God, no one was talking to you. And they're just like,
the Vlad Taltosh series, it's shut up, Loyosh. That's
Yeah.
the thing that
I know.
you don't keep fucking saying that.
I know it's because it's like a weird buddy cop type deal, and so he's got to have his like little line.
yeah, it's so dumb. It's like, God, no one talks like that. Like, how many people do you know, Stephen King? How many
How many
millions?
people do you know have a catchphrase?
Honestly, a lot of writers do this. I bitched about this before, like with when I was reading the Witcher series. Like, there's like one phrase that they kept repeating over and over.
Yeah.
And I was
Go
like,
meet real people who say different things. God, and then like when 2 people are talking, it's like the third person has to just chip in with their like, I'm from New York. Here's my new insert New York bullshit thing here. Blah 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 blah. It's like, fucking God, shut your fucking hole, man. Shut up. You're not endearing. You're just a fucking shit.
Yeah, the
Ooh.
endearing things
Yeah.
are not
Oh,
endearing
God, it's
after
so-
the fucking 15th time they've said it.
Yeah, and the nice thing
you
is,
got to have a much longer book
Yeah.
and series and spread it out way more
Yeah,
for that to
with,
be
like-
okay.
Like actually participate in life and see how
Yeah.
people interact.
yeah, with the Dark Tower, it's not the same thing they're saying.
Yeah.
It's just that same type of thing. They're always
Yeah,
there's like
no,
something
I
that's
get
like
that. Yeah.
something that's like smarmy from this one bitch, or like something like that comes out, and it's always like it's not even related. They just like have to like da 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 da, and then they're like, oh, keep calm, sugar, or like just some like pipe down a little, and it's just fuck.
Something that's super patronizing.
Yeah,
that people would
afterwards,
normally say.
yeah, patronizing after their stupid little like catchphrase, and
Yeah.
it's just like, ugh. What are we doing? This isn't building anything. It's just annoying.
Yeah, in this one, the Vlad Taltosh series, he has
Fuckers.
he's technically a witch, and he has a familiar. He has what's it called?
As your reg.
Yeah, well, no, but the connection he has with it, the I keep wanting to say psychedelic, but that's not the fucking word. A psychic connection to his familiar, and his familiar, like, is intelligent, like a person, and he'll like pipe in with a joke or like an observation or something, and then he always just says, "Shut up, Loyosh," which is his familiar's name, and just over it. And it's not just like something he says frequently; he'll say it 4 or 5 times in the same paragraph.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like they don't know what real people talk like. Sometimes it's like, God, you're just so fucking.
It's like if I was, it's just like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Insert
Book
blah blah blah
rights.
here. Yeah, not here to bitch about books. We're here to bitch about China. Those cocksuckers.
Just explore.
Oh,
I mean, yes, maybe I bitch about
Schweiss
it,
is
but
banned from China.
yeah,
I mean, I don't mind if I'm banned from China at all.
yeah.
But
I'm not planning on going there. I only upgrade, and well, we're already in the greatest country.
I
this
mean,
world's
if you
ever
want to
fucking
go
known.
to China and experience Chinese culture, go to Taiwan.
yeah.
That's not China.
Close enough.
China would like to have a word with you.
It's not China.
If you want the true experience, just go to Hong Kong. See what it could be like if they weren't such shits.
Well, there's so much like political, economic things you can get through. Why Hong Kong exploded technology-wise, while the rest of China lagged behind.
Yeah.
and why China no longer needs Hong Kong to be its like center of,
Center of money.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah.
but that's like for our politics podcast that we'll never come out with.
Yeah, that's the Fuck China cast.
God damn, Schweiss.
No, that's what we'll call it. It's like the only guy I'll listen is Trump. He's like, yeah, I agree.
You want a positive view on
okay,
China?
if you want to keep bringing up Trump and then like try to like pick a side he's on, one day he'll denounce China, and then a few hours later he'll say it's like, oh man, dude, China blah 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 so good at blah blah blah. Like he's never consistent with his own opinions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone has good and bad. That doesn't mean you can't denounce them, though.
No, but it's okay. But we're not. Yeah.
But we just denounced him and
we're not
praised
here
him
to
at the same
talk about
time.
politics.
No.
We're here to talk about
I
politics and video games.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's got to be both.
Video game
And Conan,
And
we're here to
entertainment
talk
in
about
general.
Conan Exiles and nothing more.
and Audible. That's
Yeah.
all this podcast is.
Yeah, yeah. So what the fuck? What have we been playing? Like what's going on?
Okay, so I've Sekiro.
Fucking
obviously.
20 minutes in, and we're fucking
Only 20
nothing.
minutes in.
Yeah.
It seemed longer.
We need to
Yeah.
burn more time. All right.
What have you been playing?
Fuck Russia too. How about that? No, just,
Oh.
Man, Putin's gonna come after you.
Yeah.
nah, we're cool.
And see, with
I'm
China,
a Russian.
I think
I'm a Russian asset because I made fun of a Democrat.
Dude,
the other-
Putin is more aggressive than old Winnie the Pooh in China. So
No, see,
Yeah.
this is what will happen. China will just disappear you. No one will ever hear about you again. You're just gone. No one knows. With Russia, they'll send a hitman to like fucking give you a radiation poisoning and you die, and have a trail all the way to the hitman just to show, yeah, we did it like this just because we could. We can get you wherever you want. So China, it's just the fear of the unknown and how much information they have on you. Russia's just like, we'll fucking kill you, and we don't care who knows.
Yeah. That's why you got to be cool. You got to be a Russian asset. So that's the new. That's
Just
the new
because you
insult.
blasted someone on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like
Suddenly
use one of
you're-
those fucking buzzwords that the media use. Blasted, slammed.
crushes their puss. Yeah.
Joker movie.
Joker movie smashes balls of blah blah blah.
And then you just like, and they're just like, oh yeah, you Russian acid or something like that.
Yeah. Then the fucking. Oh man, the best insult I've heard in a while is room temperature IQ. I really laughed at that. I was like, oh, the room.
Someone insulted you with that?
No.
Okay.
Someone said something like that on a YouTube thing, and I was like, oh my god, that's so good. So that's what I call all those people now. It's like you got to remember, you're probably smarter than most of those people that are out there complaining.
Yeah.
And calling them out, just like, "Ugh, you went to Russia one time. You're a fucking Russian."
Okay, there's this YouTube video that I want to watch with you guys that lays it out quite nicely, and it's
Yeah.
really funny. I want to watch that, but
Nice. We're not here to talk about that though, unless it's conjoined with video games, which it
no,
can be.
no, it's just politics.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, yeah. So anyway, what? Just Sekiro, huh?
No, not just Sekiro.
You're not up to any collusion, are you?
No.
Okay.
So I played some Sekiro. I think I'm like, what would you say, like halfway?
I don't know. I haven't beaten the game before. That's
Well,
been my
I
that's
mean-
been my cunty answer to like everything for some reason lately. Like Alex would be like, "Well, how much more do you have?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I've never beaten it before." Just like little cunt
You
head nod
fucking
with
looked
it.
up how many bosses you got left. And so
I looked up how
wanna
many
know.
trophy bosses there
that
are.
reminds me. back the day as a kid, living with my brother, and be like, hey, come help me find this. He's like, well, I don't know where it is. I'm like, well, if you did, then I wouldn't be looking for it, would I? Unless you're just a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing with Jace and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, where is it? He's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I know, but like, you got to know and look. Like
I want to ask you to find something.
Yeah.
If you had already known where it was and you hadn't told me, you're just a fucking prick at that point.
Yeah, I don't go that far with them, but yeah, not usually.
Well, hopefully not.
Yeah,
with the
but
kid.
I know what you mean, though. It's like, and that's like those lines in those books where it's just nothing, and like, God, just find it.
Are
like,
you a fucking David Edding book right now?
Yeah, you just
Are
slides
you a
into the wall.
one-dimensional character? Huh?
Yeah.
Are you just a fucking 2D representation of what you could be?
Yeah.
You have
Or
a tepid
are you going to
IQ?
find my quote? Or my coat? Not my quote. Find my quote. I don't know where it is. Yeah. Yeah, I love that one, though. That's a good insult. I was laughing at that pretty hard. I was
Tepid
like,
IQ.
Yeah,
Room temperature.
lukewarm. It's fucking 50, 60.
Nice.
Darted. Yeah. That's a good one. Use that liberally. Yeah. Oh. Craig. Sorry.
And then Rocket Slime, and then
When's that review going to happen? How close are you to beating it?
I gotta beat it, and then I gotta give it to Dylan so you can play
Oh,
it.
so 6 months, you think?
Probably,
Okay.
yeah. And then I played some of that new PlayStation exclusive Concrete Genie. It's a really interesting
Wow,
game.
they got exclusivity for that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
How's that crazy?
I'm joking. It sounds like a bullshit game.
No, it's
Concrete Genie?
yeah. It kind of feels like an indie game. Like the animation style is really interesting.
It sounds like an indie game.
It was only like $30, but it's like they kind of made it for PlayStation VR, but also not at the same time. Basically, you just like paint walls and stuff and bring like life back to this like dead city.
Oh, that's
kind
kind
of what it is.
Weird sounding.
Yeah, and then you have like these little genies that you paint that will like help you solve puzzles to keep moving around the city. It's kind of interesting. I like it.
That's a weird concept. Is that it for you?
Yeah.
All right, what about you, Cameron? What have you been doing?
Played some Sekiro. I'm in the Hinata estate right now. That's some people on the stream told me I should go there just to pick up some prosthetics and other stuff that'll make the rest of the game easier. I did fight the first boss, the general on the horse. I got to his second life bar on my last attempt, and so I'm just looking for something else to help me try, or just practicing parries and stuff like that. I don't feel like he's going to be that hard of a boss. I think I might be able to get him in a few more tries.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a second form or anything.
Yeah.
It's just basically the same.
Yeah, I think it's just
on both
timing
health
the
bars.
parries just right, just so you can get his stance down, and then use exploding every moment you can. Like at the very beginning when he rides in,
Yeah.
does his little rear up on the horse. I've got it to where I can
pound
get
him.
6 hits in before he goes.
Yeah.
And then also at any time it lets you grapple onto him and then get 2 free hits in, and then spam parry because you don't know what attack he's going to do because he's too fucking close. You can't see what he's going to hit you with, and so
Yeah, see, I
You
wasn't
just
good.
guard him too because he doesn't like hit your stance very hard.
I don't know why I don't just hold guard down. I always I'm always parrying. I don't ever hold guard. I just parry.
Well,
when I
that's
should
good.
probably hold
I
guard.
mean that's
at those points.
It's a good tactic, but against him, like he doesn't really hit your.
That'll
stance
help
hard,
you for the rest
so-
of the game because you're not.
Yeah.
You can't just hold guard.
Yeah,
They'll kill you.
I've never gotten into where I'm just holding down guard. Yeah, I just don't auto block like you do in some of the other Souls games.
Yeah, that guy. I was bad at the game. Still, I was bad at the game for like half of it, and
Yeah,
I wasn't
I'm
really parrying.
Still bad at the game. It took me like You know that snake part where you're in the canyon and hiding from a snake? And I finally got to the palanquin where you hide in. I sat there staring at the fucking snake with its red eye for like a minute. Like, okay, what do I do now? It's just glaring at me. I can't leave. Oh, wait, that's a symbol for assassination, isn't it?
Fucking stab
I'm
it.
like... It's just sitting there and like fucking just staring at me, and it does like the fucking
Like, why is its eye out of
it
its
does like
body?
the fucking
What the fuck's happening?
ghost thing with Pop Emeritus, and his eye just starts the glow and the glare, and you're just like, I'm like, does it fucking see me?
Yeah.
What's going
Is
on?
it retarded? Like, what's going on here?
Guys, what's going on? Am I supposed to hit it?
Yeah, that it fucking loses its mind and you
Yeah,
just run
yeah.
like a little pansy. Yeah, that's a crazy part. That
Yeah.
reminded me of like a God of War kind of thing. Like just
Yeah, and then I did that the first time, and I died because in my panic I'm running, and I'm just flinging myself up the hill and like trying to do the tree grapples, and I didn't actually
Right.
like look at where I was supposed to go, and so I just got stuck. I'm like, I don't know where to go, guys, and I die, and then I do it again. I'm like, oh, it's right there.
Oh, so you went the wrong way.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I died like 3 or 4 times trying to get the thing that was up on like the tree or the burning bush that's above the snake, and I finally go and did a suicide run to get it because there was no way I was going to do that. I guess if I assassinated the snake first, kill its eye, and then go grab it, I would have had time. But he gets fucking pissed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fun. And then I'm going to focus a lot more on Sekiro next week, being the only game I'll play. So because of that, I kind of got my want of multiplayer games out of my system and played a fuck ton of Battlefield 5 and just a teeny bit of Blizzard owned game called Overwatch.
Okay.
Opened with
Nice save.
that. We'll make a point of that later because people boycotting Blizzard, so that's
yeah.
why. So played a little bit of Overwatch with Craig and some of the friends, but I played a ton of Battlefield 5, and I should have been streaming some of it because I had some of the best gameplay I've had. And I
Yeah.
should have been streaming that.
Nice. That's cool.
Like, the headshots were just coming, dude. They were just coming. Maybe I will do one more night of Battlefield 5 and I stream it.
All right.
Maybe. But then I just got that on my stream, so out of my system, just so I could focus on Sekiro. But then also, I think this is a good moment to bring it up. True Hoax was messaging me on Twitter, and he was bringing to my attention that some of you already know, but Steam is bringing share play to their platform, to where if any game has a local co-op mode, you can share play it with anyone else.
Oh, fucking no way.
And then you can do couch co-op with anyone on any game that has it. That's cool on its own. Because,
Whoa, wait, wouldn't that be computer chair co-op?
Kind of.
well, it's technically couch co-op, I guess is just the term for it. But yes, if you want to split fucking hairs.
Okay, well, I don't have very many hairs left, so I want to
then stop
split them
splitting
to
them.
duplicate. Then I have 2 instead of 1.
But which is super cool because not only so indie games that might have wanted to implement some sort of like online multiplayer function, but to save time and money they didn't. Steam allowing this share play access actually makes it really cool to allow people to play the game.
Yeah, that's
even if they're not together. So
That's-
all on its own, that's super cool. But that opens the box for me and Craig at least when it comes to Cuphead, and then playing the game with either Chase or True Hoax to beat it. And I brought this up to him. I'm like, yeah, but that's what Joe did with Bloodborne. And Craig fucking gets up on him for that. And he comes back with, and like, can we really count the game beaten at that point? He came back with, well, the devs really intended the game to be played with both cups at the same time.
2 cups, one game.
Yeah.
That reminds me that there's like a memory back in my mind that jingles with.
2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah.
Is it you just didn't want to say it?
No, I was
I've
just
never
beating
seen
around
it.
the bush.
And I
I've
don't
seen the
ever-
trailer. I don't know if there's actually
ever
a video.
intend to watch it.
I think it might just be the trailer. It's filthy.
Oh, well, I people have explained it to me, and I will not watch it.
It's probably worse than what they've explained.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's worse than fucking
Eating shit.
shit?
Masturbating
Fucking eat
to
shit.
people eating shit, I guess, is probably worse. Probably.
Not to kink shame anyone.
Yeah. And not like I've done it and know, but it's probably pretty bad. It's a low you don't want to get to.
But that brings it to if having Chase versus game or True Hoax help either me or Craig get to the end of the game, or just the fact that Craig and I can play the game together and us beating it together, what would you count that as beaten? What would the listeners feel about that? I know you wouldn't count it as beaten.
As a
personally, I do have the want to beat it on my own, but at this rate, when's that going to be? And would it count more if Craig and I beat it together versus having someone who's good at it?
Honestly, the whole thing about Bloodborne is that it's a single player game. Like,
but is Cuphead really a two-player game?
It's not really encouraged.
And if it was intended to have both cups playing together, then why isn't the other cup an AI?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, you can drop in like instantly while somebody's fighting, and then there's like that whole revive mechanic for the 2 players.
Right.
I mean,
maybe they did, but I don't know.
I would say that that's a stretch, saying they intended 2 people to be playing it at once.
Well, we can look at it online and see what we think, but then have our listeners give their opinion on it as well.
I also think it doesn't matter.
But I also just want to beat the fucking game so we can review it.
I don't think it matters, and I think Bloodborne...
But, see, if we do that, then Joe will feel like he has a leg to stand on when it comes to Bloodborne.
You already counted it as beat, and you guys let him do it anyway, so it doesn't even fucking matter.
I think it counts, and I think the game does suggest a multiplayer as an option.
It's the same kind of multiplayer.
But you're not interested. It's the same. You're doing the same thing though with Cuphead. You're not.
I know, but
you're
that's why I want to beat it on my own. I want to beat it on my own.
Yeah,
I have
you
that
want to
drive and that desire to do it.
But if you don't,
but it's like there's certain times
it's
like there's certain parts of the game where it's just like I cannot keep track of everything going on at once on this screen. And
I know, believe me, I fucking know. I would say count it, and I think Bloodborne counts. There's no argument. It counts. It's just cheap.
Would you rather us playing with someone like who's really good at the game, or would you rather me and Craig just trying to do it together?
I think if you and Craig tried to do it together, it wouldn't even matter. You would just fucking die. Like it's still hard.
Even the double output of 2 of us inept fools wouldn't be enough.
I mean, 0 is still fucking 0, so you can multiply it as many times as you want, and it's still going to be a fucking big old goose egg.
What if we divided?
Well, I mean, it's still 0. Fucking.
What if we split?
Fuck you. I thought about that for a second. Can you divide by 0? No. Fucker. What if you split what?
Oh, unless like splitting your hairs.
Oh.
And in my mind, I was connecting that to divide by 0.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Your case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, good one. No, that's it's fucking bald.
He's got the thinning, the ball patch up top, but the really long sides right now too.
Yeah. It's for that Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, actually, that's a very accurate representation of the hairstyle.
Kinda. He has
more balding.
He has thicker hair than I do up top, but his widow's peak is way further back. So I'm gonna have to shave my head to match it.
Oh, dude!
And then I'm gonna shave my head all the way.
You gonna be Jack Nicholson for Halloween?
Yeah, I'm gonna be The Shining. Yeah, that's what I've been growing my hair out for.
Perfect.
I wanted to make Jace the little kid, but he doesn't want it.
But you need to fucking get your hair shaved to have the extreme widow's peak that he has.
That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Yes, because then it's gonna be for a long time. You're gonna have it, and it's gonna grow back all weird. It's gonna be great.
I was thinking about just shaving my head afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine too.
But then people would see
the skillet.
Then they would see my swastika tattoo on my head.
That wouldn't be good.
That was a bad placement. When I got it, I didn't think I was going to go completely bald, but God, was I wrong. That's going to be awkward.
Oh man,
fuck, that's fucked up. But yeah, that's the plan. Yeah. But that's a tough one. I'm glad you brought that up because.
True Hooks brought it up. So.
I mean, because we can't bitch about the Chinese thing forever, right? So we gotta.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're counting, I counted Bloodborne, and I would count that too.
Okay.
Because it's a very similar situation. They both have a multiplayer function. You can complete the games with those functions. They're both get good games. So like really, there's almost they almost parallel each other in that way. Where the only difference, I guess, is that Joe never intended to beat it himself. I mean, he probably did until he realized there was a multiplayer function, and then that was the out. And you want to beat it yourself. But at the end of the day, if he couldn't beat it himself and you can't beat it yourself,
well, let's
and
not
you
go
find
too
another
far
way.
here. There's a fine line between having the patience to do it for myself, or just wanting to get it done in time to review it in a reasonable amount of time. I am confident I could beat the game if I just tried and I'd finally beat it.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I would be too, because that's what I had to do.
Right.
So I think you could do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I could beat the game on my own, and I have a desire to do that. But if I beat the game using this couch co-op method, I don't think I ever would beat it on my own.
You think that would be it?
I think that would be it. I won't go back to it just because of
There's
the
a
nature
harder
of reviewing.
difficulty too, dude. Fuck.
Yes, yeah.
Fucking God. Even longer phases. Like, God, the dragon's already, like, forever long.
No,
Yeah.
he's not.
Dude, I hate the dragon fight. That's where Cameron's at. He's
No, I'm pretty sure I finally finished it. Like, I got the first 2 phases down perfect.
Yeah, it's that third phase. It's too chaotic, and if you're shooting, you're going to hit one of those balls, and it's going to launch them, and it's too much. Your brain is just frying.
I
and
just
it's
need
fucked.
to take the whole idea is if I'm not shooting, I'm gonna stay here forever. I'm gonna make a fuck up at some point.
Yeah.
But the thing about the third phase is if you're shooting erratically and dodging, you're gonna shoot something you shouldn't, which is those fireballs, which fuck you. And
Yeah.
so I think there needs to be I need to learn how to like be patient and aggressive when I need to be during those windows.
Yeah.
Just because I can't get caught out in the open.
Best thing to do is get on those high clouds when he's doing the flame move,
Yeah.
and just fucking lay into him.
And do the crouch shot, but
And then until that
see
happens-
my other thing that I don't know why I do this. I have this thing where I'm doing the crouch shot and but I do it to where I jump down through the cloud. I just
Yeah,
go
you
down.
fall through,
I
yeah.
fall through. I do that so many fucking times, and I can't stop doing
Gotta
it.
get the lobber, man.
Well, it won't
The
matter
lobber
'cause
curves down,
Oh yeah, you're right. It does. That would help.
and it does more
Yeah, but I have to
damage.
do more of those fucking running guns.
And those
to
running
get
guns
the
suck.
point.
Yeah, they
I-
get hard, man.
Yeah.
They're so fucking hard in the third area. I was like, fuck that. I'm not.
Dude, the
doing
fucking
this
like
shit.
carnival one where it's like the fucking the bouncy cars
Gotta
that are on the roof and on the
gotta
floor.
switch
And
between
I can't
the-
do
yeah.
it. I just can't. I've tried several times to
It's-
start it, but I just can't get through it.
I like that one a lot.
That
How?
one's really
How do you
brutal.
do it?
It's you just have to get high, and it makes sense. I know what you mean though. Like you go onto the ceiling, and then there's shit coming for you. So like, I don't know. It's you just have to keep moving. That's the thing with that area. And then you're almost at the end when you get there. You're like pretty close. But dude, the end, there's something that's not great, and it's pretty tough. And I got to the end, and you have to jump, and then you have to do the dash, and I fucked it up at the very end of my last life, and I died, and I was just like, I was ready to cry. I was like, come on, that's. And like the little animation of him like running to the flag. He's like on the flag, and I'm like, dude, right on the other side of that. But I fucked up.
Dude,
the
that's
dash.
the most like crushing thing ever. Is when you get to
Yeah.
like the end of a boss, and you're like butt fucking the flag, and then it's just like you didn't.
Yeah, it's like if I was at half mast, I'd be touching that flag. But he's flaccid, so he's not touching it, and I lost. It's like, God, fuck. It's almost worse to know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because then the unknown, then when you get it, you're like, oh my God, I finally beat it.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I would count it. And if you want to do that, I think go for it. Yeah.
All right.
You guys going to do that? You
Well,
think?
I will. We want to fucking review it at some point. So yeah.
That would be good, yeah. It was voted on.
Okay.
We got that, and then we got Craig Sekiro Gate, where he's like,
almost
I don't.
beating the
Yeah,
game.
he's almost. He's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to beat this boss. And then, like 20 minutes later, I beat the boss. I told Craig here what he should do.
No, see, this is the thing though. You guys keep bringing this up, but Schweiss is always like, "Oh, I'm never gonna catch up to you."
How many
literally
more
catches up
weeks?
to me in like fucking 2 hours.
How many more weeks
when
do
it
we
took
have?
me like an entire week to get to the spot that I was at.
We have 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
From
okay.
today.
From today. 3 weeks from today. And how many? You're just one boss past Craig right now?
I'm 2
2.
now.
So just 2 bosses past Craig, and you feel like you're near the end. Craig, you're like more than halfway there.
I told him what he should do is the most Craig
You're living
thing
on
of
a
all.
prayer.
Yeah.
Take my hand. We'll make it, I swear.
Whoa. I told him he should do the most Craig thing of all time, the most bouty Craig, and just like beat the game and refuse
then
to
refuse
review
to
it.
review it.
Just don't talk about it ever. Just be like,
fucking-
Craig, I think you're going to make it.
I'll do it.
I think
If
you're
I
gonna
beat
make
it, I just won't
it's like,
review it.
no, dude, I told you I wasn't going to fucking
Not
review
gonna
this game.
fucking do it.
I beat it, but I'm not going to say a goddamn word. You will never know my opinion.
I'm still at the first boss, and it's 3 weeks.
yeah. and
Well, I
it's-
mean, you just haven't been playing it.
That's very true.
yeah. But
But I mean, like, fucking Schweiss caught up to me, like, really fucking
dude, I've
quickly.
played it a lot too, though. I feel
Yeah,
like you
but Schweiss
underestimate
plays
my
it,
dude, like,
failures.
it took me like a week to get past fucking Guardian Ape and then get to a second form, and then another week to get past second form. Took you 2 hours to not only beat the fucking Guardian Ape, but also get past fucking the second form and catch up to me instantly right after that.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. The second form I beat on like
you're
the
doing
third
it
try.
way faster than me, so I'm like, okay, fuck you then. And you're just constantly complaining about being behind me.
Well,
and
I
now,
was.
and now you're like 2 ahead of me, and it's gonna take me like 2 weeks to get to where you are.
I don't think so. Those aren't
Nothing
hard
like coffee
fights.
and Adderall to get you through.
Yeah, you just had to focus.
Those reaction times up.
Yeah, you got to focus, Craig. You already need the Adderall, so like, what the fuck? And if you double the dose, then you're in. But yeah, you're in the zone. I don't know. It's
the auto zone.
yeah, it's a game that once you get good at it, I think you are very good, and it's easier to be good. So it's like the rich get richer kind of a thing.
Well,
Like, you
it's
just
a
I would
game.
say
It's
that's
a
only
game
true
about
for certain
It's a game
bosses.
about reaction time, though. Too.
Yeah.
It's memorizing attack patterns and reaction time. That's all it's about.
and it's beautiful because it's the art of the battle. Like it's a true
I usually
sword
have
fight.
decent reaction time. It's me memorizing the boss pattern and stuff. Like
Yeah,
that.
it's a true sword battle. You're trying
Yeah.
to just wait for an opening to attack, and when you get the attacks in, then eventually they'll get an opening and they'll get the upper hand, and then you have to parry and block. It's it's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
and it fucks you so hard too, but like you love it the whole time. Like you're raw, your anus is like prolapsed, and
Yep,
you're
I
just
knew- I
you're
knew
still
exactly
digging
where he was
it.
going after you said that.
Yeah, you got that prolapse Sekiro.
There's some bosses that's not true for.
I don't think there are. I think there are ones that are hard to parry.
I don't like Corrupted Monk. I don't like Guardian Ape or Guardian Ape.
Guardian
2.
Ape is the one that's not the same.
Those 3 fights are just complete shit.
Corrupted Monk, if you can't parry him, you are going to be stuck on him.
Well, I mean,
for a
it's
long
easy to
time.
parry that one, but I don't like the concept of like half of your moves just not doing any damage because they're invincible until like you use a divine confetti.
Well, you're not
That's
supposed to
fucking
do
bullshit.
damage. That's not the point of this game. The point of this game is to
You
get
can still-
stance down to such a low form that you
dealing
kill strike.
damage to them is what makes their stance bar not go down.
Right, but it's about the
You have to
consecutive.
do the damage.
It's about being a god at the sword play. That's what the whole point
It's
of it is.
mixing.
And if you
It's mixing being aggressive as fuck with also being really good at the defensive by the parry.
yeah, that's what I mean.
So
You're
that's why you have to attack. You have to do the damage because the only way their stance bar doesn't go down is if you actually deal damage.
Yeah.
And the Corrupted Monk just doesn't take damage sometimes. So the stance bar goes down because they like don't attack sometimes because they'll like just sit there wandering around
Fucking shield
until they
dudes.
start doing the fucking spinning thing.
Corrupted Monk.
It's fucking bullshit.
I
Nearly kill every time I nearly destroyed the Corrupted Monk before I did that bullshit cheesy thing was like by pure health damage.
That's the wrong way to do it.
Well, I parried every goddamn thing, but like she just stops doing
And
stuff, and then the stance bar dropped immediately.
Right, but when you hit
there's no slowdown on her. It was just literally.
Well,
it
you
was
have
gone.
to keep hitting
I think-
them
I
even
think
though the
there-
damage isn't there. Because
I think one of the things
still fucks
about
their
the
stagger.
parry, though, is that you have to know when to parry, but then also know when to parry attack.
Yeah,
With
that's
one
the thing.
quick light
It's
attack.
the quick
parry attack.
It's
and
the
then you have to know the opening for that.
It's the art of the
And
battle.
I'm still struggling on when to follow up with an attack after
Yeah.
a parry. I struggle to know. when
And
to
that's
do
where
that.
you build that. That's where you build that bar up. Is it's you're waiting for an opening.
Well, I know how to build the bar up, Schweiss.
Well, that's then apparently you don't because it does. The bar
Schweiss,
doesn't drop
Every
when
boss
you.
that I beat before Corrupted Monk was through stance. All right.
Well, see,
I destroyed Genichiro, unlike you, and I destroyed fucking the Guardian Ape through like fucking his stance bar.
Oh, I killed him that way too.
You health damaged him.
No, Guardian Ape in the end, I figured out a good pattern. Second Guardian Ape, I guess I did more of that, but even then, he was like a third. In the beginning, that's how I did it, and that's how I did Genichiro, I'll give you that. I was really awful at the game when I fought and killed that guy, which is totally unfair, because I shouldn't.
Genichiro gives you so many opportunities to fuck a stance.
I know.
Like he does that thrust, and then he does like that low sweep attack.
Yeah, that's what it is, though. It's the art of the battle, really. It's like you need to know when you get a slight upper hand, take a quick attack, or just keep pressing the attack until they get the upper hand, and then you parry. And you got to do that with Corrupted Monk too. Whenever Corrupted Monk is doing his little dance fucking thing, you
The
have to just
spinny whirl thing.
you parry, and then when he stops, you just hit as many times as you can, and then you just keep parrying him, and then the bar won't drop. If you're hitting him, you won't do damage, but the bar is not going to drop. It's going to build slowly, and just eventually you'll get enough parries and enough quick attacks in that you can kill him. It's really tough though, especially if they deal damage to you, because then it starts dropping, and if you don't have that health damage, it doesn't stop. So it's a all or nothing kind of mentality you have to take with the game, and that's how you beat the bosses the right way. I mean, I only know that from recent things because I cheese the fuckers. I didn't really cheese them, but I physically killed them slowly and painfully for a lot of the game.
Well, we got a lot of damage now, so we do quite
That's
a
a
bit.
lot of damage. Sorry, your meme segue for the day.
Well, we do you start out with like 1 attack power, and I'm at like 8 right now.
Yeah.
And you're like, what, 10?
Yeah, I have 10, yeah. So, I mean, the guys in the other areas, going through to, like, buy stuff
Fucking
from the merchants.
one-shot 'em?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the shield guy. I just hit the shield and they're staggered and I just assassinate him. It's, like, so fucking ridiculous. Like, oh, you got a shield, huh? Just fucking cut him in half. Shield's gone. So are you. But, yeah, it's good. It's good time. You just have to get that timing down. It's so much more needed than the other games. Like it, I think. Although those you could do the same stuff, just you don't have to. So that's the difference. Is that it for you, though?
Yeah.
All right. So this week for me, a little bit of World of Final Fantasy, like a touch, and
Just a
which is
touch.
what I should be playing because
And
I
a
have
feel.
to. Yeah, a touch and a feel. I have to review that on Tuesday night, and I am like, still got a ways, so I need to really start hitting that hard. But Sekiro is just so good that I can't. So that's how it is. I played a shitload of Sekiro, and yeah, it's just addicting to explore the new areas and see what there is to see, and I just can't put it down, even though it puts me down so often.
That's why I hated
The
getting
dirt.
stuck at Genichiro, because like I had explored every area that I could.
Yeah,
Because there's no further exploration until after I beat him and like went through the gun fort.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So, now we know what everyone's been playing this week. The real question, some would say the only question, has anyone beaten a game this week? Craig.
Nope.
Cameron.
No.
Nothing for me either. Yeah, so get your hog in, but we haven't this week because we're either stuck in the world of FPS or stuck in Sekiro.
I'm like halfway through that Concrete Genie.
Oh, okay, there you go. You'll have something soon.
It's only like 5 or 6 hours long.
Very cool. Well, do you have a question? What do you want to do?
I think we should save our questions for next week.
Oh, that's
because
true, yeah.
next week is again our 200th episode.
Do we have
Guys,
a question before the Q&A questions?
No, we don't.
Okay.
So guys, please send us more questions. We have a few now, but I want a shitload.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ask a couple, too, of you guys, so...
Oh, for the audience.
Yeah, I'll ask them in place of the audience because
Oh.
it's something I want to know from
Oh wait.
you.
Oh, you're asking us.
Yeah.
Thought, oh, okay.
I'll have a
Okay.
couple. I'll have a couple that I'm interested in.
I know
discussing.
some people
Okay.
have sent us questions on
We gonna-
Discord.
we can discuss beforehand what the questions are.
No, I'll just blindside you with them. They're not going to be crazy. They'll be gaming related. It's
Okay.
not going to be a
Okay.
Mary fuck kill.
Because I was gonna be like,
Gaming Mary
we're gonna
fuck
do this
kills.
like
With
an
like our-
actual interview where we go over the okay topics to cover.
No, that's bullshit. That's not an interview. That's a play. No, it'll be a good one. One of them's
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask. Yeah, you'll like it. It's good.
Okay, good.
And plus, I have a really funny joke to go with it. It's a story I've told before, but I'll tell it again.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
get us those questions. Again, the hashtag is NudeClanQ. I tweeted out earlier knowing that you guys are lazy little shits. So that you guys can find that tweet, respond to it if you want, if you're going to be lazy and not go through the hashtag.
or just through the Discord. You know where to find that.
Or also the Discord, yeah.
Yeah. So, Cameron, what are we doing? Yeah. What's going on?
All right. Well, getting right into the episode as Schweiss gets up and walks
leaves.
off. Oh, he's gonna
He's just going to listen. He's not
gonna-
going to participate.
listen as he
Takes a piss.
takes a piss break. Well, anyways,
Fantastic.
the format for this, I don't really have like too much. I mean, I've done some research. I've been interested in the subject too, a little bit more lately because of news items, and I don't want to dive too much into current items. I guess we can discuss them, which will require Schweiss to be back from the bathroom.
Available.
But really, it's just Chinese involvement in Western entertainment. But then we're going to specifically hop into games because, we're gaming, And this is quite a surprise because, we typically steer clear of political topics because this is a gaming podcast.
Oh, I mean, sometimes politics and gaming clash, like whenever...
That was a
like,
joke because we fucking half the time just fucking...
Well, I know, but
Talk about
when you guys
politics.
talk about politics, it's never about gaming and politics
Yeah.
together. It's always just
I
politics
mean, we did
in
have
general.
the how every now and then gaming gets bashed for violence and
Yeah, which is always like the standard thing and always really fucking stupid.
right. But now, especially in this day and age, there's just almost no way to keep your entertainment pure and separate from politics. It's impossible.
I know. Like,
And now, since
fucking movies constantly getting
since
under
money
fire,
counts
like that
as
fucking
free
Joker
speech
movie.
in this country, money gets you what you want, and so, this is my discussion opener. Really doesn't work without Schweiss here, but let's go ahead and talk about this one because not only China is a huge market.
Fucking massive
A
market.
huge market.
It's like-
and a lot of companies are making these decisions because there's so much wealth to be had from the Chinese populace when you make something that can be consumed by them. But when you make something, there's certain things that have to be done in order for it to be appropriate for, the Chinese people, that the government will say, yeah, you can show that here. And one huge thing that happened in Doctor Strange, a huge popular Marvel movie based off the comics, but they ended up changing something in the movie in order to show it in Chinese audience as well. And they did it this way. Everyone saw the same version of the movie. There isn't a separate version of the movie out there, but they changed it to where the monks are no longer Tibetan monks. Because I guess in the comics, you would know more than I would. Who are the monks that Doctor Strange goes to talk to? Do you know?
I don't. I'm not really I haven't really read any Doctor Strange. I don't think they were Tibetan monks, though. I don't think they had like a specific name. Like they were just in like
Let me look.
certain mountains. I don't know. I don't really remember.
No, I'm pretty sure that the main monk that he was supposed to go talk to originally was a Tibetan monk, but they made a choice to change it, to whitewash it, I guess, in a way, and away from that so they could show the film in China. And that's just one small way the Chinese market affects the Western market as well, because they have to make things appropriate for viewing in China. And that brings up the thing where in China, when you want, let's say, a video game released in China, it basically has to go through this process with the Chinese government and then Chinese owned gaming companies where they can review it and be the ones in China to kind of manage the game kind of separately from the main game as it is here in the Western world. And that's kind of what happens with Blizzard games and Hearthstone and whatnot, where there's a separate Blizzard Chinese entity that handles all the political and basically the game itself in China.
Yeah.
And then right before we hop 100% into video games, did you hear all the controversy with ESPN and what happened with the Rockets owner, I guess, or coach?
I heard that something happened with the NBA, but I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I read some about it, but basically, I don't know how China has influence over the NBA and ESPN.
Yeah,
and
I don't know
whatnot.
either. That's why I was like, what the fuck is
I
going on?
should look into
with
that a
this?
little bit more. But basically, someone tweeted, the Rockets general manager tweeted support of the Hong Kong rights, and China got super upset about that. And basically, I don't know how they pressured him into doing it, but they had him retract his statement, apologize. They took off, I guess, Rockets merchandise off the store to be able to purchase and stuff like that. And like a whole bunch of stuff retroactively that's just like, how are you letting them get away with that just because, that's a huge market full of money?
How was like anything for NBA?
I think it's like
Selling in
preseason
China.
stuff.
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. This is an American team, an American sport. Like, we don't play internationally, so
Well, we have the Olympic
preseason.
teams.
So we have the Olympic team, but also during the preseason, basically the basketball games that happen before the actual season starts. International teams our teams will often play against international teams during the preseason.
And sometimes the people will play for those international teams too.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
And so I do know there's an Australian team. I think there's I don't follow basketball too much, but yeah. Is there a Chinese preseason team?
I don't know. Okay, so
if there's not, then that would doubly not make any sense. So
yeah. So they got mad and they like.
But I
basically-
think China owns a portion of. But so China owns a lot of stuff when it comes to Western media. They have holdings in a lot of things, and we're going to break down one specific Chinese gaming company. They're not necessarily just a gaming company, but we'll talk about them as well when it comes to gaming. But if you haven't heard about the current stuff that's going on with Activision Blizzard, like I was saying before, when you want a game to be played in China, there's a whole bunch set of rules you have to follow by. And if China feels like you are disregarding or breach those rules at all, they'll just yank the game. And no one in China will be able to play it. And that's a huge market to miss out on when it comes to, current active players, people buying, stuff.
Yeah,
And
these
so-
games are expensive to
Yeah.
make, so you want to recoup those costs.
And that's why certain Western media, they will make a movie that's okay to be played in China just because they're just make one version and not miss out on that market. And then when it comes to games, it's the whole thing of managing a game separately from your Western servers in China to where it's, it's okay for them to play it. And they're not going to get into stuff that the Chinese government doesn't want them to get into.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to Activision Blizzard, and I'm pretty sure all of you are aware what happened to that recent Hearthstone player who, during his winning, he just won the Hearthstone tournament. And during his winner's interview, he came out in support of the Hong Kong protest. And the interviewers who were there, also caught some of this backlash, but the winnings were taken from him, and he was banned to play the game for a year. And then the same thing happened to the interviewers, where they were terminated, basically, where they couldn't work there anymore, even though they had nothing, they didn't know anything about what Blitzchung was going to do. And they were also banned from, I think, Overwatch or Blizzard games too. And so basically what happened, everyone got, in the Western world, got up in arms about it. Like, you're throwing in, with China and, what China's doing right now, with not just when it comes to this particular scenario, but also other human rights conditions that people don't bring up when
and their limitless
too often.
desire to steal everything that's ever been.
That too, but also human rights stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
when it
yeah.
comes
They're fucking
to-
terrible.
Yeah. But
There's your communism, people, right there.
basically, they gave him his winnings back, Blitzchung, and they shortened his ban to 6 months. And I think they also shortened the ban of the two employees, the two interviewers. They shortened their ban as well, but they still don't have a job there anymore. So that's that. But now even the U.S. government's coming out and just saying, what they do best. Oh, you shouldn't do that, China. It's, you shouldn't be banning people. And then there was a whole controversy where American players, because of what Blitzchung had done, they started doing it too during their tournaments, and they weren't getting banned until like, hey, you banned him, but you're not banning us. How's that fair? And and the Western side of things, because China, people over in China are not going to see us over here doing that.
Yeah, because
but
they're not allowed
they,
to. Yeah.
retroactively banned them as well, just because Blizzard came out with a statement going, hey, it's not that we're banning people because we don't want them to use our game and their platform to push their own political agenda. It's basically what they're saying. They're trying to remain apolitical, but what is going too far, and are they just using that as a PR thing?
Yeah, I think it's important to remain apolitical as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's kids who played Hearthstone that got banned, also demanded to be banned. So it's it's really stupid.
And I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's not that it's not a good cause, but it's just like people that are protesting in the street when you're trying to get to work. It's like, get the fuck out of the way. Like, it's not, this isn't your place. This is for cars, not for fucking people standing. 1. 2, it's illegal almost everywhere. I got into an argument with the guy on Twitter who was like, well, they could have just drove around. I'm like, or they could follow the law and get the fuck out of the way. Like, God, fuck you and your defense. So, part of me is like, I see where they're coming from with, it's not a political thing. We don't want it to be, so fucking shut up. And you're not being political by just playing the game, but you are by having a stance
felt
on
like
that.
he had a moral obligation to do that, just because he supports.
Right. Well,
I mean, he's from Hong Kong. He supports that, and so now he has a platform where he can reach people and he get his message out, and so he felt morally obligated to do so. And he knew he was going to get, something happened, something would happen to him because of that, but he didn't care because he wanted to get his message out. And the fallout that ensued.
Yeah,
and
that's
just
tougher because they're from a place that you can't simply just protest. It's not. It's very cracked down. It's like in the U.S. you can protest legally.
They've been protesting for quite some time.
Yeah, and they're protesting hard, and it's great. Like, fuck that. Fuck the communism bullshit that they're trying to force on them now.
Yeah, we don't have to get into why they're protesting.
But I mean, it is irresponsible, and I think it's not just his platform; it's Blizzard's platform,
right? And so Blizzard, technically, they have it's their platform. They have a right to do what they see fit.
Yeah, and as long as they remain apolitical across the board.
But the argument is, are they being apolitical? Or are they siding with this government that everyone here in the West seems to think as something that's
I wouldn't say everyone. There's plenty of people that support that kind of shit. They just don't think that that's real version of whatever it is, because they're
the people were like, that's not real communism.
Yeah, those guys are the room temperature guys. But so are the people being mad at Activision for not taking a stance. It's like, well, you gotta take it in consideration. Like, we're just a business.
What we're going to see more and more frequently, I think, is this is coming to a head now. People are now aware of it. But I think you're going to see this pop up more and more, is media is going to continuously be more in the middle when it comes to things that can be shown both here and in China, because the Chinese game market is fucking huge. The biggest game company, which we're going to talk about in just a moment, is a Chinese company.
Yeah.
And it's fucking massive. Tons of money.
Yeah.
And it's just because I feel like here in the West, video games have been more or less stigmatized for a long time. We continue to argue about video games and politics. Whereas in China, they fucking saw this market as a growing industry and they fucking invested the shit out of it.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's huge in China, even to the point where you talk about social credit that's coming out in China, where I've heard it said that even how well you do in video games can affect your social credit score.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so shitty that good gamers are above the normal people. Like,
But the gaming culture is just different in Asian culture.
Oh, it is,
altogether.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say it's just really dumb that a lot of these people are getting mad at these companies for being somewhat politically charged on it. And they're like, oh, they're only doing it for the Chinese money, but they don't seem to realize that, like, the U.S. population is like 330 million. The Chinese population
but yeah.
is 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
So it's like,
And it's
that's
an
a
ever-
little bit more
and,
than
the
what we
Chinese
have.
market
So it's a lot
is
larger money pool.
Is an
than,
ever-developing economy, too, where their
Yeah.
Well,
middle class is
especially
expanding.
since-
And whereas, so they're people who they're getting more and more. They're basically going through a boom. I mean, we can go into separate economics of it, but
China just barely
split
got the
hairs,
ability
but-
to not have like China exclusive gaming consoles. Like they're allowing consoles from like the West to come over there finally,
because
Like,
they feel like they're
had a
cracking
huge-
down on the network
yeah,
stuff.
they had a
better.
huge ban on it like for like a little while ago. Like it was only
Yeah.
a few years ago that they like lifted that because they only had like Chinese companies making these like knockoff video game systems.
yeah,
and games.
they would just fucking steal it. Like
Basically,
little
yeah,
shits they
like,
are.
and now they're allowing for like Western stuff to finally come over here.
Yeah.
So of course, Western companies want Chinese money because there's a lot of
And
it.
also, a lot of them have been getting ripped off for a long time. Like when Trump talks about that, like he's being serious. Like they
Yeah,
will steal
that
your
is very
intellectual
true, yeah.
properties, and there's no recourse. There's just nothing. They rip you off, and it's an unfair business advantage because they don't have to pay for software. They don't have to pay for these things that other businesses do. It's just wrong, and I don't know. It's tough because you have a platform, and it is. I can see why you would feel morally obligated to
right.
do that, but also I feel like you can use your fame and the notoriety you've gained off of their platform, like on Twitter or something, and say it there, and you might still have the same backlash, but then it's out of their hands in a way. It's, well, he said it on his own time, what are we going to do about it? But when you say it on their time, you have to realize that you have the right to say what you want, but whoever you work for has the right to react however
whenever
they
you
want
provide
to.
a platform, like let's say you're a company,
And they gave
like
you that
Facebook,
platform.
or you are, and so it's you basically. It's your platform. You are streaming it out, and
Yeah.
someone makes a political statement that you don't agree with, or you feel like a whole bunch of your viewers don't agree with. Yeah, it's definitely within your right. I mean, when you're a company isn't okay. The people looking at
Corporations
this,
are people too.
People are looking at this at a very like Western / democracy viewpoint, where companies technically they're not democracies. It's the company, I guess, is a person to money, and if they don't agree with what someone who's using their platform says or what their police says, if you're working in a at will type of state, they can just terminate you.
Yeah. And I think they should have that right. I 100% think you should be able to
and
get
then
fired
Blizzard
for whatever.
to do React. It's well within Blizzard's right to do that, but whether or not
But is it right?
they morally should have
Yeah.
done that is a thing. And now we're looking at this through
And then you have to
Or-
decide, is it apolitical to do nothing?
Right.
Or is it political to do nothing? Because if you do nothing, that means you accept what has been done. And that's not apolitical. I would say it's probably more apolitical to say, look, don't fucking use our platform for this shit. Whether we agree or not is irrelevant than to just do nothing. Because I think doing nothing is a sign of acceptance and like saying,
Yes.
well, this is okay.
I
So it's
mean-
hard because there is no fucking apolitical. It's you either shut it down and tell them, look, fucker, no, or you do nothing and then they enable them to do it, and then they're saying, look, fucker, yes. Like it's so tough.
Well, and then people are trying to like screw over Blizzard because of like this shit, like where they're adopting like Mei as like their like a character from Overwatch is like their like mascot, and they're trying to get her banned because
Well, yeah, and it's funny
Which
because
is
Mei is a
fucking
Chinese
stupid.
character, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you consider what's going on in China to be evil, and China, and therefore Chinese government evil, I mean, this quote kind of fits. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing,
Yeah.
and that's
But I don't think it's nothing
Edmund Burke, but yeah.
necessarily to say you can't do it here. It's not saying you can't do it, period. It's just do it with your own stuff because we built this up for us,
it's
not for
basically
you.
like, hey,
Not for
you're
you and
getting,
your
you're
fucking
getting us
message.
involved in your thing,
Yeah.
and that's
But
not
the
okay.
kind
If
of the
we
point-
want to get involved, we can, but you are now pulling us into it and making us make a statement on whether
Yeah.
we want to get involved. That's
yeah.
not fair.
So actually, that's something interesting to point out because by doing nothing, that's as much as them saying that they 100% support what Blitzchung said.
Yeah.
If they did nothing, they support 100%.
So they're fucked either
and
way.
so now Blitzchung basically forced Blizzard to respond to his statement, and either they are now forced to respond to it. And the thing is, do they come out in support of Blitzchung and then alienate their entire Chinese market and the average Chinese person? Remember, average Chinese person doesn't know as much about what's going on as we might, because we're seeing it outside of their network, outside looking in type of thing.
Right, and by doing this, we, if they
And
get
then they're
pulled,
seeing things. I don't know how free information is amongst them. I don't know how many of them actually really know what's going on in Hong Kong or what's happening, elsewhere in China as much as we out from the outside know. And then how is life for the average Chinese citizen too?
Yeah.
But they forced a statement of Blizzard. Blizzard responded. People hated the way Blizzard responded here in the West. But what I kind of wanted to get to the point of is we're going to see more and more of this clash between Western ideas and Chinese ideas and ideals as the entertainment industry, as time goes on, just because China owns so much of what's out there when it comes to entertainment, especially in the video game sphere. And we're going to keep getting games that are going to be very bland in that regard, political wise, when it comes to being something that can be viewed in China or played in China. And so that kind of brings me on to basically the largest video game company in the world. And a lot of you probably already know that's Tencent. Tencent is a large company in general. And then basically when you have a product, have software, have anything you want to sell in China, you can't have it separate from politics. It's in order to get something in China, it has to be approved politically first.
Yeah,
By the
it's one of
by the government.
The thing about communism is it encompasses everything.
Right, and
it's not
so
it's not just the
When
monetary
you have a
aspect.
mega corporation in China, it is basically a political entity at that point.
Yeah, it's all forms of life, all walks of life, everything about
Yep.
everything is. That's why it's so fucking wrong, honestly, is it
Right.
doesn't just do one thing. So Tencent is the same way. They are controlled
And so when you talk about Tencent, it is the world's largest gaming company.
by a lot.
But it's also
Like-
the world's most valuable technology company.
and we're talking mobile games mostly. Like it's
a huge
bullshit
chunk of mobile games,
but
yeah.
like, fuck,
but
dude.
that market's super huge in China.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
But then it has one of the world's largest social media companies, and one of the it's also one of the world's largest investment corporations, which is why we're seeing a lot of entertainment and other things in the West kind of listen to China, especially because this huge company, Tencent Games, is investing in anything around the world. They are
China
making
consumes
money.
a shitload of our movies. Like
Yeah.
the reason like some of our movies make so much internationally is
But-
purely because of China.
It
Yeah.
also does
Yeah.
social media. It has music, payment systems, smartphones, multiplayer games, and us specifically, when it comes to Tencent, we're interested in kind of its stake in the video game sphere. It owns 80% of Grinding Gear Games. It owns 100% of Riot Games. Huge. Glue Mobile owns 14%. That's mostly like mobile type games. Owns 11% of Bluehole, which is PUBG. It owns 40% of Epic Games. Owns 5% of Activision Blizzard. 5% of that, guys. Which is why Blizzard's going to do what it can do to, keep their games in China. Owns 5% of Ubisoft. And then 5% of Paradox Interactive and 84% of Supercell. I'm not too sure about those last two. But this is a huge chunk of what's out there. There's tons of different games and developers, that you can get from that are not Chinese owned or related, but they're still going to do what they can do to tap into that Chinese market when it comes to pushing out their games.
Yeah.
And the reason why Bluehole / PUBG, they own a lot of that is because of the mobile PUBG market.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Big. Yeah, that's a huge deal.
So we're talking about this super mega corporation that does a lot of entertainment, but it's also, in China, it's a political entity at the same time. And so when you get into wanting to boycott Blizzard games right now, and then not play their games, we played Overwatch the other night. The queue times didn't seem that long at all. So I don't know how many people are actually going through and boycotting Blizzard games. But are you going to boycott? Is it because you support Hong Kong specifically and don't like the action that Blizzard just did? But is it because of just this one moment that's now a social media sensation, or do you truly not agree with a lot of stuff that's going on with China and the amount of control they exert over Western media? And are you going to start boycotting all of that too?
No, they're not, because there were sensationalists
when
it comes to that shit.
It's such a huge gaming market that you have to understand that these companies, especially with ones that have, that are partially owned by Chinese companies, they're going to do what they need to do in order to, to keep that coming in.
Yeah, and if they don't do that, they die. And
they're going to try to appease both sides as best as they can. Yeah. But China will straight up fucking say, nope, your game can't be played in here anymore, and it's done. Whereas in the West, it's a little bit more, yes, we're upset and we don't like it and we wish you wouldn't do that, but it's not like the government's going to yank it immediately. It's not like it's going to be a market that's completely 100% shut off.
Yeah, we in our history of video games reviews and things, we've seen how many copies video games have sold, and it doesn't turn out to be as many as we think, and they still see that as a success. So losing out on a shitload of money from China can fuck a company now.
And now that's kind of where our government does need to step in when companies do things that we don't agree with. It's up to the government to sanction or do stuff like what they were trying to do with Facebook.
Yeah, that's also tough because,
but they still don't have we're still, quote unquote, freer than China, free world, where where they just can't yank or just take something completely away because that we wouldn't stand for it. Hopefully we would stand for it.
I don't know. We let them chip away over time.
Yeah, slowly chip away.
And the more and more you let them chip away, the easier it gets.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you got to draw a line in the sand and say no, and slap their little fucking hand away. Fire your AK into the air and fuck a pig at the same time.
That's why Prohibition didn't work. It said no on the no booze.
That's right. The mob ran it.
But there's just so much going on in the political sphere right now.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's what makes China
either we're going to get used to what's happening in entertainment because China owns a lot of it, because they saw this huge industry that needed to be invested into, and they did. And they have certain political requirements, and so they're going to adhere to those while still investing, and then put pressure on, these Western companies that want to push their media out into China. Hey, these are our rules, and if you want to have our money, you have to abide by them. And when we get angry, you better listen to us, type of thing. And for the most part, we're seeing that our Western companies are doing what China asks of them in order to not lose that market.
And it's funny because a lot of people that are mad about that want our government to do very similar things to our own companies. Like, well, you shouldn't be able to do this. You know, like I feel like people don't have. There's no like reasoning with a lot of it. Like, I feel like we're talking about it in a way that's, you know, we're disconnected from because we don't have any interest in it necessarily. I don't. I like Blizzard, I guess, well enough. They're fine. I see where they're coming from, but I also see where protesting Hong Kong is great.
A protest should be your right, regardless. I mean,
right, but you don't have a right to do it on someone else's platform.
No,
I don't think so.
And so there's the next BlizzCon. There's a huge movement to get everyone to either. I think I can't remember what they're going to dress up as. It might be May or something like that. But there's a huge movement to.
I think they banned all Winnie the Pooh costumes from BlizzCon already.
And so there's a huge thing to go to BlizzCon, but then stage a protest there.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. So the thing is about protesting is it doesn't work if you're just pissing everyone off.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're protesting, you know, climate change or Hong Kong,
it has to be something that a large
like,
portion of people agree with.
Yeah, it's like, get out of the way. I have
Whereas
shit to
in
do.
Hong Kong, everyone is really on board with not having that happen.
If I were in Hong Kong, I would be out in the fucking streets, all right? Because that's different. That's not the same as protesting BlizzCon.
That's your near future being affected.
Yeah, protesting BlizzCon is you.
But then
just
when it
being
comes out to the
pussy.
West, the Western world, and they've made several appeals out to us in the Western world to support them.
Yeah, and it's like, well, how do we do that?
It's up to us. Do we support them? I mean,
but how are we supporting them by staging a protest? That doesn't support shit.
Well,
they're dying. People are being put into jail. That's
disagreed with
you standing in the middle of a fucking
what Blizzard
road.
did, but but there's different ways to protest, and I was going to segue into that. Where if you really do support and want things to move forward with us supporting Hong Kong, then to actually use your government and actually reach out to your representatives, your local congressmen, and come out in support of that, just so they know what we want to have happen. And so if you want to enact an actual change and have our government to actually support that, then you have to let our government know that's what you want to do. Enough of us have to do that our government will not think about the money and actually come out and support. I mean, they've already come out against Blizzard and said, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's not right. But if you want more involvement in Hong Kong and more involvement with helping, in that situation, then you have to make it known. You have to, you try to use our government the way it's intended to be used.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I think protesting in the way of things is annoying, and it's just it doesn't do anything to help your cause. It just makes you look like a jackass.
Yeah. But then I don't know. There becomes a time where you've done all of that.
Well, that's when it's time for an uprising. It's not time for protesting. That's time for upheaval of something that's corrupt and disgusting.
When does
filthy.
A protest turn into basically a riot or upheaval?
When it needs to. In Hong Kong,
is it an uprising in Hong Kong right now?
I hope so.
Or is it still just a protest that's on the verge of rioting?
I hope it gets crazy. I hope they fucking. I don't think they have a chance to stop it, but I think it sends a clear message that that's not what they want to be.
Yeah,
and I think that's great because it's trash. So why would they want that? It's tough though because you're right. I mean, it's like, well, but I mean that's the thing is like I feel like doing arbitrary things like showing your support from afar to people that can't see your support because their lives and everything is so regulated to the point where they don't know necessarily that we're out here supporting them by protesting BlizzCon, by calling off work and going and shutting down that convention. Like that doesn't do any good. It's fucking stupid, and it makes you look like an idiot. Because
maybe
I think it does because it doesn't actually help the fucking problem that's at hand. It's Hong Kong is being taken over by communist China.
Is the point of a protest?
And it raises awareness, but who's not aware?
Or raise awareness, or
the protests that we're doing now, and
already staged a walkout.
the outrage culture that we got going on right now. Cam makes the protests that I'm for BlizzCon make it seem like they're trying to strong arm them into making a decision.
I mean, it's definitely
it's
not
like
gonna
the boy who cried wolf.
It's
but
not.
it's letting
It's
your
definitely not
opinion
about raising
known
awareness
on a larger platform than just outrage behind a computer screen.
Yeah, and that's what makes it tough. Like, I can see why as a company you wouldn't want to. But
protesting is a part of our country. I mean,
is, yeah.
It's built off of that. And you can protest legally, and protests are just fine.
No,
I think
they are,
joining
yeah.
a protest is great.
There are plenty of
and
people who
protesting
protest.
companies that don't adhere to your own values is 100% within your right. And something actually that I think is healthy for, a good
For a
society to do. Protesting
Yeah.
is healthy.
No, it is. I agree, but there are rules to it. Like
Yeah,
people
well,
that are in
yeah.
the streets, that's not legal. So
Yeah, cutting off streets and stuff like that. Yeah, that's not.
when the guy I was talking to on Twitter, he's like, "Well, just drive around him." I'm like, "No, get out of the fucking road, you dumb fuck." It's not even. I'm not against the protesting. I'm against you being in my way on the road that I pay for with the job that I'm going to be taxed to pay for the road you're standing in. Use the sidewalk, like. And it's like, well, it doesn't get the message across. It's like, well, fuck you. I don't know what to say. Like, there's no winning with some of this shit, and it's tough because, yeah, it's terrible what's going on there. But like, where do you draw the line as Activision? Like, it's not their job to be deep into politics. Like, we can have things that are
they
away
make
from
fucking
that.
video games. They're not.
That's
like
what
a
video
political
games are.
entity.
They're escapism.
No, but it's-
they're moving
Yeah.
away from the shittiness of life. That's what entertainment is meant to do.
But it's what
so if
Blizzard.
you let it seep in,
It's not the. It's what how drastically Blizzard reacted, and basically also it's part of the message that the Chinese portion of Blizzard came out with and said, "Hey, we apologize to." Basically our country and our fellow Chinese citizens. It was basically Blizzard identifying itself with China at that point, which is part of it.
Yeah.
And then how drastic its actions were.
no, yeah, they were pretty crazy. I'm not saying
Yeah.
they're not, but I mean, if they
Yeah.
don't,
But it's at that point where it felt like Blizzard was 100% siding with China and not trying to remain apolitical like they're trying to say they were. It felt more like they were listening to the Chinese argument rather than the rest.
And I mean, with that, I can see you drawing that conclusion because of the severity and all of that.
But it was the
consequences.
Chinese version of Blizzard, but then again, the main Blizzard has not rescinded that statement at all. So
Yeah,
I mean, there's kind of not much you can do when part of your company that's based in China, when you're owned 5% by a Chinese company, you can't really be like, "Hey, we don't actually believe that,"
yeah,
because I mean that's like a two-faced thing, and they can't do that.
and that's kind of the place that Blizzard's stuck in, and a lot of
that's
what
part of the
gaming companies are
problem.
stuck in right now.
That's part of the problem with that one guy, like bringing in this whole thing on Blizzard, is like they wouldn't have done anything. Like there wouldn't be this like massive blowout. There wouldn't be like any of this shit because like there wouldn't have needed to be.
Right.
Like they're like a company that's partially owned by China.
Right. But what we are expecting these companies to do, which is kind of crazy to me because they really never have, is to behave like a morally founded citizen instead of just being a company that chases money.
Yeah.
And so we're expecting them to make these moral statements with their money and willing to risk a huge market just to do what we feel is right. Whereas,
yeah, and it's easy.
what precedence has that ever been set? And when have you ever seen a large company ever do that, like in recent history?
Yeah, and it's easy to tell someone how to act when you have no power over anyone else. It's the easiest thing in the world to do that, or to spend someone else's money that you didn't earn. Like, you have the moral high ground because you didn't
I'm
do
not
anything.
defending
So it's-
Blizzard, but I
No, I'm not
understand the
either.
position they're in.
I'm not either. I say if you're against it, protest them. That's fine. Like, I will never get out and do that unless like Hong Kong happens here, like something crazy like that. Then I'll be out in the streets. There's not a thing that makes me mad enough to like actually go protest. But if it's bothering you that much, then I say do it. Yeah, that's all
But
right. You know?
I'm also on board with not playing Blizzard games, at least for a little bit.
Yeah,
until they
I
make
mean,
changes.
If that's your way of doing it, then whatever. That's fine.
I mean, basically, people in this country, especially with companies, you vote with your money. And if you stop giving a certain entity your money, then they have to figure out how to get your money back.
Yeah.
But again, with outreach culture, how soon is this going to blow over? Especially with Overwatch 2 on the horizon.
Everything like blows over like crazy fast.
Yeah, well, that's because that's the whole thing. Is it's the next big outrage.
Yeah, it's like as long as like the next time something crazy happens, it'll just be that, and then everything else will be in the background.
Yeah.
Like they had a bunch of people freaking out about like the shootings and stuff, and like that's old news now. It's all the Joker movie or the what's going on in Hong Kong or Blizzard's being a bunch of assholes.
But see, as far as media attention goes, Hong Kong has been kind of the center of media attention for a lot longer than other stories.
Yeah, like
which is great.
The Amazon burning thing, like that was like
was a week thing, yeah, and
it's funny because it's only burning like 1% more than last year, and it always is on fire because it's the biggest forest in the world.
Well, they're also
just this time
clearing
there was,
it, but it's just like the square miles is of the Amazon shrieking every year, and so
and it's slightly more than last year.
Yeah,
but of course Leonardo DiCaprio's stupid ass saw it, and he voiced his ill-informed opinion, and now it became a big deal. But you're right; it's the next thing 3 days later.
Yeah,
and it's not that it's not bad; it's just it's the boy who cried wolf. It's like you come out with these huge world-ending things, and then it doesn't happen, and then it's like, well, eventually people stop caring because we're tired of hearing this bullshit. But this one's legit. With the Hong Kong thing, not necessarily the Blizzard thing, like because it's just there's so many problems with it. There's so many tough things to consider.
Yeah, I don't understand getting mad at Blizzard when really they should just be supporting Hong Kong and not being like, oh, well, this company is evil, we're going to badmouth them, instead of like attacking the problem that is the Hong Kong.
Yeah, but how do you
stuff.
attack that?
The
though?
Hong
That's
Kong.
the hard thing.
How do you attack the Hong Kong?
You just bomb it, man. That's how you do it. That's how you
We're trying to
attack the
save
Hong Kong.
Back in the day, though, right after Britain left Hong Kong was such a huge economic powerhouse that really pulled in a lot of money for China.
Yeah,
and that was part of what kept them, safe from Chinese encroachment until now. China itself actually really doesn't need the money from Hong Kong as much as it did before, and now it can start to push on the reunification and slowly getting there. And part of the huge uprising was the extradition law that they wanted to put in place, where if they deem that someone had committed a crime, then they're able to extradite them into mainland China to try them. And the whole fear of people in China just disappear. You just never hear from them again.
Yeah, well, they probably murder them because they're fucking crazy.
And so they didn't want that to happen in China, but it's moved much further past the extradition law to more of a free Hong Kong movement itself, where they wanted to free the rest of the protesters who got arrested, but then they also now just don't want to be part of China.
Yeah, and I mean, go figure, right? Like, who would have thought?
And some of the stuff, it's crazy. Like, they started shooting, they had water cannons, but now they added blue dye so they can identify protesters later to arrest them.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's police state nonsense.
Yeah. And then infiltrating the protesters and whatnot, and
Jeez,
people
they're going
disappearing,
ham.
but yeah.
Jeez, Wayland, you don't need to jump up on me.
And then, it's I'm surprised it hasn't escalated further than it has already, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to, and it has to. That's the only conclusion, unless they give up. But I don't think that's going to happen. Neither side is willing to give up, and I kind of hope they get free. I hope they find a way.
Like, let's say a big enough catastrophe happens where a lot of people get killed or hurt in Hong Kong, and the Chinese government goes, "Well, that's it. We got to come stabilize this area, or else, all these more people are going to get hurt," and they just roll tanks over. And then what is the Western world going to do at that point? I mean, Russia has done that. Russia did that with Crimea, basically, or they have done that with Georgia as well. We're like, oh, look, terrorist events are happening here. We got to go protect our Russian people. Roll tanks over.
Yeah.
In Ukraine, roll tanks over. What did the Western world do?
Yeah. Well, Ukraine, a lot of them wanted to be part of Russia anyway.
Well, I mean, they still took stories
it by
from every
force, though.
side, but yeah. I mean, they said they held a vote in the Crimea Peninsula, but really, if you look into it, Russia was protecting their access to basically warmer water, because Russia's kind of fucked when it comes to access to like bays and shipment trading, because they have two seas they really have access to that is not controlled by someone else, because a lot of their seas up further north are frozen. You can't get into it year round. But then everywhere else, they have to go through waters that are controlled by other governments that they can't just use freely. And if they decided to shut off access to Russia, they could, because the Sea of Japan is right there next to Russia, but that's also controlled by Japan, and American interests is there as well. Then you have further up north the Baltic Sea, which freezes every winter, and they do keep lanes open, but then that's controlled by the EU, because everywhere else is fucking EU as you go further out of the Baltic Sea. Then you have the Arctic Sea up the north. Once global warming happens, and fine, that'll be great use of it. But until then, that's locked off as well. And so they basically are renting a parcel of land to gain better access to the Baltic Sea a little further south. But I think who is the one who actually owns it? That might not be up for renewal, and so then they had to go push and take back Crimea, which was part of Russia before the Soviet Union basically gave it to Ukraine to manage. So it was Russia before, and so they go down there and reclaim the Crimean Peninsula to maintain that unfettered access to shipping.
Yeah.
So that was a huge 100% political move on their part, not wanting to suppress a population, but furthering Russia's interests. But when they roll tanks, how does the West respond? We sent aid to Ukraine, but we didn't go, well, fuck Russia and roll in.
Yeah.
And then when China decides, if they do decide to
they said
to roll tanks for whatever reason, for whatever, I don't know if they go Tiananmen Square, because that would probably elicit a reaction from Western Western communities. But once they roll in, technically it's China.
Yeah, what do you do?
What do you do? And if they try to keep it as peaceful as possible and just integrate it forcibly at that point, how would we respond to that? I have no idea.
Yeah. How should we respond too? It's like
we should, are we going to start a war with China over Hong Kong?
We tried to do that with Vietnam and stuff like that, trying to stop the spread of communism, and that didn't work out. So it's tough. Like, what do you do?
That was but then when the U.S. hadn't officially recognized Taiwan as independent. But whenever things started getting hairy between China and Taiwan, we would put carriers out there, close enough to keep an eye on things to make it to seem more threatening for China to move in. But
yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's because it's difficult. What do you do to help? And I don't think protesting it really does. It sends Blizzard a message, I guess, but
it sends Blizzard a message, and it sends. It's money's the problem, but it sends companies a message what our markets will do based off of their actions, and they're making a choice economically. Do we anger this population or do we anger this population? Because when it becomes between China and the West, there's no appeasing both.
Yeah,
and so how do you piss off the one that you can piss off the least amount while still maintaining business in the other one, where they'll just cut you off the second they feel like they can. They should. So.
And I guess that's what they chose, because China will just they have that line in the sand, and they'll just say no, and it's gone.
There's no making the average Chinese citizen angry. There is, you made the Chinese government angry, and you're no longer allowed to operate here.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so tough for us to sort of understand, and like, how can you expect someone to give up that much? It's, and like I said, it's easy to justify it when you don't have those millions of dollars that they earn from that country. It's very easy to take the moral high ground when there's no risk for yourself. It's easy to take it for other people, and that's why protesting and stuff like that I'm not against it, but I think a lot of the people that are doing it have a mindset that they don't deserve, that they haven't earned. You don't deserve the right to tell someone what they should do when you don't have the same things that they do. Like it's just absurd to me to take a moral high ground when you have no stakes in the argument. Like it's like, well, I don't care what you think I should do.
In this case,
You're-
Hong Kong is asking for support. They're asking for help.
Yeah, in that case,
there
yeah.
is that. So there is like a moral high ground based off of what your sensibilities are and how a certain country treats other people. And you can take a moral high ground and let your stance be known and try to affect change for that country or that situation. And I feel like that's fine, just as long as you're not just taking a moral high ground and not trying to do anything other than
exactly.
that.
Yeah, it's the people that are like
just to be on social media and say
Yeah.
what your views are.
And that's why I get so mad about that kind of stuff, because people just like comment on something on Twitter and it's like, well, go do something if you care about it. Like there are ways to actually enact change other than
There's
typing
ways,
your little
there's
fucking-
ways set out in our government to enact change.
And there's not. And
yeah.
they need the overthrow. They need the violence. I'm serious. That's what it comes down to. They need to overthrow the Chinese yoke. They need to fucking rip it off, and it's not going to happen because China's just too big. I don't know if they can stop it. Diplomacy,
Yeah,
maybe,
it
but
has-
fighting, I don't think it's going to happen.
It has a lot of money,
and they have a lot of fucking people too.
and our economy depends largely on the Chinese economy, just like the world depends on the U.S. economy as well. And they don't depend on the U.S. economy like they used to,
Yeah.
especially with China becoming a huge player like it is. But no, it's just
It's a really shitty situation. If I were there,
Yeah.
though, oh
yeah. Oh yeah, I'd be there too.
get that guerrilla fucking
Yeah.
warfare, dude.
And then us
Guerrilla
stating our
Yeah,
support for Hong Kong. I've heard this could just be a rumor, but individuals are getting banned from China from visiting.
Oh, awesome! I totally want to get banned.
yeah,
I wonder if we can get banned. I'll send him a link.
probably.
Hey, can you ban me, please? There should be like an American company that like gives you a little placard every time someone gets banned. They just send it off to you.
Nice.
That would be the ultimate. I just put it up on the wall.
But yeah, that's the reason I didn't want to. I just wanted to talk about it with you guys a little bit, just to gauge your opinions, just because it's what's alive on social media right now. It's an area that we're interested in, and it's an area that will affect the future of video games and entertainment in general. So,
Yeah, it's just a really precarious situation. It's just so tough.
it's getting two separate, completely different ideologies and trying to make it work for everyone.
yeah.
And listening to the people who have the money. So,
Yeah, and I mean those are the people you need to appeal to. You need to appeal to the senators. You need to appeal to these people in power to enact that change.
Hopefully that can help enact a change, but it could just be ineffective as well.
Yeah.
'Cause, I
Yeah.
mean, money is the real power to move things forward. So, but do what you can do with what you have, and if you truly want to support Hong Kong, then let your congressman know. Let let people know.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, don't just talk about it. You have to be about it. And I'm
Same
not talking
thing-
about people in Hong Kong. Those guys are being about it. Like,
Yeah.
That's different. I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Systems.
If you want to help them, let it be known, but also let the people who basically are in charge of your area know as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
and almost everyone's united behind this
that
shit.
is my 10 cents on this subject.
Oh, you've been waiting this whole time to drop that.
No,
in
that
here.
actually just came to me.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, fuck China. At least, well, actually, totally fuck them. Like, I was going to say at least government-wise, but then, like I said, like, it's such a I don't know, an overpowering system that it controls everything.
Well, it's
It's not
definitely
just
their
monetary.
government, but it's like it's. You could say fuck China, and you can mean the government, but like how much of that is because of the actual average Chinese citizen, or are they just living in that environment that allows that to happen? And I feel it's more or less definitely the Chinese government versus the average Chinese person.
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, I've talked to Chinese students and whatnot straight from China studying abroad, and they just have a completely different view of the world compared to us. And yeah, when they get here, they're very interested in our culture and kind of what goes on, just because it's something they've really never been exposed to.
Yeah. And
To any large degree.
yeah.
And it's very interesting to talk to them and get their opinion on stuff.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that they're, you know.
And a lot of stuff that goes on, like that we know about, the average
don't.
person don't.
Yeah.
They just don't know about it.
Yeah, because they're not allowed to. That's
Yeah.
why that's scary.
Which
man.
is also why oftentimes if a Chinese student abroad gets too involved in Western stuff and ideas and stuff like that, they keep an eye on them and go, hey, things are bad or happen at home because of what you're doing over there. You should probably come back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Then they disappear.
Not
They
necessarily,
get
but yeah.
suicided by the Chinese Clintons. Love that. They can't suicide us all.
Fucking Winnie the Pooh laughter in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but we can. No, that's crazy shit though. I don't know. It's tough, and it's tough to like. What do you do as like a gamer? Like, do you? That's why we're having the talk.
As a
and there's-
gamer, gamers rise up.
Yeah, that's right. Controllers in hand. Let's take this shit back.
Come on, gamers. We have the training. We know what it takes.
Yeah, I could
but
pair
really,
it all day.
As a gamer, the only thing that you can really do is vote with your money. That's the only way you can really affect a change outside of, that's like the biggest way. And the most striking way you can make a change is you vote with your money, you pay for games that you want to pay for. And if a game's entertaining, but it's owned by a company you don't agree with, do you pay for it? I mean,
yeah, you have to decide.
That's
You
up
have
to
to
you.
decide what
That's up to you.
whether
And
you're
then-
going to take the moral high ground or the moral option, or you're going to take the option that you think is best.
Right. And then that's the first change you can do. The other change is to try to get your government to make a change on a larger scale. But really, the first thing you do is you vote with your money, you pay for the games you like, or you pay for the games you like from companies that you respect, I guess. And there's going to be tons of different companies that you like or don't like based off of their actions. I mean, Bethesda getting a lot of flack for their poor practices of pushing it out, but to my knowledge, they aren't owned by a Chinese company yet. I mean, I have to look into that a little bit. They probably are.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's China all the way down.
Yeah, China is the core.
Who?
The cradle of life wasn't Africa; it was China.
Who owns Bethesda? And I think I know
Bethesda
that.
is ZeniMax.
Who owns
Yeah.
ZeniMax?
China.
ZeniMax,
Who has stakes in ZeniMax?
the guy who made ZeniMax.
And China. Always China. All roads lead to China. Even if you dig a hole deep enough, it'll be China on the other side every time. Everyone knows that.
And then even if these other companies want to sell their games in China, they have to abide by what China wants
Wait,
them to. In
So
order
if
to
you
sell
dug
it.
a hole in China all the way through the world, would you end up in your own hole, or like
Yes.
would it just pop out
I feel
somewhere
like,
else in China?
Yeah.
Like, China is so huge. I can see the other side of the hole. It's just everywhere. So you would be in China again. It would be alternate universe China, and there'd be another version of you there. Pre-hole dig.
So you dig.
You're like, oh, thanks for
If
digging
you
that
dig a hole in China, you just enter a parallel universe.
Yeah, you dig a hole in the fabric of the universe.
and then you end up in your same hole, but in that universe.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So it's China, but worse. It's fucked
It's
up.
China all the way down.
That's right.
But yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to add to that?
No, I just hope that they keep fighting the good fight out there. I mean, nobody wants that trash.
Send them your thoughts and prayers.
That's right, yeah. Or I'll just do something just as useless and, protest Blizzard.
Well, that's-
and it's fine if you want to do that. I don't care. It's just
That's
think
protesting
about-
Blizzard's great for getting Blizzard to do what we want. Well, no, it's not. It's just letting Blizzard know our opinions on the matter and letting other people
Yeah, which
know.
is good. You need that.
Yeah, but boycotting is definitely something like if like spending. So your vote again as a gamer is your money and what you pay for, and boycotting something is you're no longer paying for that. You're no longer giving that time, and that's your vote technically. But if we were to compare markets, if Blizzard were to use the entire, let's just say the entire U.S. gaming market versus losing the entire Chinese market, Blizzard would be better still having China versus America. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make it tough.
So yeah, but yeah, vote with your money. Boycott if you want to boycott. You're right. I mean, it won't affect a large scale change, but it's still something you can do right now if that's something you feel inclined to do.
Yeah, go for it. And I don't dislike protests. I just dislike mob mentalities.
Yeah,
that
mob mentality. Yeah,
accompany them a lot of times,
and then that's probably what Blizzard's just waiting for. Are an ability to pay attention to anything very long, and so they're going to wait maybe a couple months, and people are no longer going to care about what happened outside of an occasional. Oh, remember when Blizzard did this? You remember when Blizzard asked if everyone had phones? How long we were mad about that? But it's like totally different level
That
of
was
thing.
like,
but
4 months ago?
yeah, but
5
everyone was
months ago?
super mad about that. But this is something different.
It's only because they were making a fucking like Diablo phone game instead of being like, yeah, we're making Diablo 4, even though they totally are.
They were making that for the Chinese market, which ate it fucking up. What do you want to bet? So
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't think it's out yet though. But
yeah, they will though. They'll love it.
yeah, they probably will. It'll probably be great. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you really feel like you need to make a change, then look how to do it locally and look how to get your opinion out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's always how it's been. If you want to affect change, you have to change yourself, and then you move outwards from there. You have to fix up, yourself. You have to do what you can, and then ask others to do what they can, or else you just come off as a whiny little piece of shit. And people like me, who have little to no sympathy for anyone, will say that is exactly what you are,
Yeah.
and that is what you will always be. And then it becomes the boy who cried wolf. Like, then when something truly bad is happening, I'm going to think you're just being a little whiny bitch.
Yep.
So do what you can locally, and then bring it higher and higher. That's a great advice. If it really bothers you to that level, then go ahead and just fucking boycott it.
What about you, Craig?
Get out of the goddamn road.
same.
Luckily, we live
Keeping
in
up
Utah.
on keeping up?
Yeah, keeping up on protests.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I think boycotting Blizzard is kind of a stupid idea, just because they're not exactly the problem. The problem itself is the fact that there is the Chinese government and they're protesting them, and that's fine. But protesting a company because they want to continue to make money and because somebody forced them into the situation that they're in is not exactly it's not exactly showing support for the people
I think more or less
who
it's
actually want to
bringing-
maintain freedom, or a measure of it.
Yeah.
It's just being a bandwagoner.
Right. And I feel like boycotting, if you want to go ahead and do that, then do it. But I don't think it'll affect a change in the long run. There's only a few ways to do that, like we mentioned before. This will blow over. People continue to play their games because people like to play Blizzard's games because they're good.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch
But I
of
think
people
this is more or
abandoned
less
their World
bringing-
of Warcraft, but that doesn't fucking matter because
I think more or
shitload
less
of
this is
people
just
still play that.
bringing the reality to light of what world we live in and what world we will live in. And I mean, it's just that is the reality, and if you don't like it, then you got to fucking act and actually mean it.
Yeah, I mean, how many companies have people tried to protest against for dumping in places that they shouldn't for their waste? It doesn't really do much. And they're the most that
That's
they're
where
gonna
your government
the
needs
most
to step
the
in
most
with
they're
their,
gonna the
that's where
most
your government needs to step in with their fucking
yeah, but I mean the most they're gonna pay in a fine is I don't know, $100 million, maybe more. It's not gonna fuck them over.
That's
to
a
the
lot,
point.
actually.
Well, I mean, I've seen some that are like that, but I don't know. It's just not gonna fuck them over. They
Right, but that's where sanctions come in, or not sanctions, but just restrictions and stuff like that.
Tariffs, those types
No,
of things.
because that's for foreign companies, not local. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. But I think I can see where Blizzard's coming from, and I can see where the streamer is coming from. I really can. And it's tough because he forced him into the situation.
yeah,
But remaining apolitical only works when the people that represent you remain apolitical as well, or else you have to take a side.
and they erred
even
on the
being
side
neutral-
of being more apologetic to the country that can just yank the rug out from under them versus being apologetic
It makes
to the,
sense, yeah.
to the side that'll get mad about it.
Yeah, and it makes sense. And it also, you got to remember, like, it's easy for you to say, well, just go ahead and give up those millions and millions. You have so many more millions. It's like, fuck off. Like, go ahead and give up the...
I mean, it's also really easy to say that
Yeah.
when you like think that you're the biggest part of what makes their money.
And
Yeah, and you're not.
especially in America,
just
especially
not, so.
especially in America, like the average American citizen tends to think that their perception of the world is the perception.
Yeah.
That they are basically the world, and everyone kind of like they forget that the rest of the world exists. Just because it's we are kind of isolated in that way, and a lot of people have that viewpoint. They forget to like, or don't know how to see the world the way the rest of the world sees it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Europe, they have such a long history, and there's so many different countries all right next to each other that they've developed more along the way of having more of a worldview than the average American does.
Yeah.
So that's
lot of-
the biggest thing where Americans are like, well, if we get mad about it, something will happen. No, nothing will fucking happen. There's so many more people outside of America than in, and so much a broader worldview
Yeah.
to have that really pissing off America versus pissing off another huge market. Yeah.
I mean, it's the McDonald's thing. It's like, oh, people got mad at McDonald's years ago for not being more healthy, and so McDonald's response was add a fucking salad to the menu. Like, it's just
Now I can have a salad with my Big Mac.
like that was their
Yeah.
compromise.
I just
like,
need
here
the
you
extra
go. Here's
fiber
a-
to push this out.
Yeah, eat this fucking iceberg lettuce that has no nutritional value. Here you go, you
Yeah.
fucking health nuts.
You happy?
Like, that's not why you go to McDonald's. You go to McDonald's because you want to fucking kill yourself. You don't go to McDonald's because you want a fucking salad,
I
all
just
right?
wanted something, somewhat tasty and not have to actually make food and just regret it later.
Yeah.
Oh, and
So
then
when it comes
make
out
a
of my
pie.
ass
I want a heart attack and a cigarette, not a fucking salad.
And I'll just make it up later at the gym that I'll never actually go to. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, other words, now because we don't do getting fat anymore, I am on track of losing weight. I'm going down and down. It's happening.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess, our opinions and kind of our discussion on the matter. Sorry if you guys didn't want to hear that, but that's kind of what's alive in gaming right now. And as a gaming podcast and who is interested in the future of games, the way those go, I feel like it's kind of important for us to discuss our opinions on it, because that more or less will affect what we do and the media that we consume and
Yeah.
how we feel about it. So,
Yeah, for sure. So cool.
but as always, I mean, we have very strong political opinions, but we don't really have the podcast side with anything 100%. So if I feel like if we are going to play a review of Blizzard game, that just is what it's going to be.
We have reviewed Blizzard games.
Yeah, I mean, in the future too.
did, like-
Overwatch 2 is on the horizon, like I said.
Is it really?
Yeah. So if that's ever nominated and that's something that we are going to play, yeah,
Wouldn't
we're
they just
probably
like
gonna play
make a
it.
huge expansion?
But we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's-
like
I mean,
League
that
of,
was
it's
like-
like a League
that's
of
like-
Legends too. It's
that's
like why?
That's
No,
like
it's different.
Blizzard's thing.
So,
is like to add a huge expansion.
So Overwatch 2 is not going to be the same thing too. It's going to be PvE with maybe some PvP elements.
Oh,
so
it's
they're
going
going to actually add a story now.
Yeah. That's what I think they're doing.
Oh, okay.
And I heard that
Still, why not?
they're
a
going to
fucking
stop
expansion?
soon. They're going to stop adding new characters to focus on getting Overwatch 2 out. But a lot of speculation of what the game is going to be, because they haven't made an official announcement yet. But yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, is that it? You guys got anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
Good to go. Keeping quiet.
Yep.
All right. Well, guys, let's do some Hog League. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Hog League. This week's matchups, awesome, excellent matchups, were between Schweistika's Schwettmeisters and the A4 last places. Dukes of Death against Abrat Cracks the Whip. The Most Offensives against Thy Chase Squad. Step Motherfuckers against Romager's Rompers. The Doesn't Counts against the Matunica's Heroes. My Schwettmeisters fell 452 to 313. The top A4 was A4 himself. The top Schwettmeister was Fun to Mop. Dukes of Death deal death once again to A-Rock Cracks the Whip. They're still undefeated. They won 662 to 391. The Death Wife is the top Duke of Death. The top whip is Allig. The most offensives topple Chase's squad, and it's 533 to 124. Super big blowout. The most offensive person, player by nature, the best Chase is Chase himself. Step Motherfuckers smash Romagers Rompers 719 to 231. Top Step Motherfucker, as always, Ingress Blackdude. The top romper, Simon Parker. The last matchup of the week, it doesn't count, against Batunica's Heroes. The Heroes take it 350 to 161. Top hero is Porcupine Racer. Top doesn't count is Igloo Smasher. Very surprising. Jake must have been busy this week. It's your best chance to beat Batunica, and, well, you didn't do it. So, that brings the standings. First place, Jesus, the Dukes of Death, 5-0. Step Motherfuckers and Batunica's Heroes tied for second place with 4-1. It's another tie for fourth place with A-Rock Cracks the Whip and A4 last place, 3-2. Sixth place tie between Most Offensives and the Doesn't Counts with a record of 2-3. Ninth place, I guess eighth place tie between Schweiss's Sweatmeisters and Chase Squad, 1-4, and then last place D-Rom, 0-5 for the season. So, this week's matchup, guys. My Sweatmeisters are going to take on Romagers Rompers. The Dukes of Death are going to take on Batunica's Heroes. The Most Offensives are going to take on the Step Motherfuckers. A for last place, fighting A-Brat Cracks the Whip. That is the first rematch of the season right there. And the Doesn't Counts against Thy Chase Squad, or Chase's Place. Chase, whatever the fuck. So guys, get in, get your hog. That's hogib.herokuapp.com. Also, forgot to mention who won the poll, and it was totally Uncharted 2, so we're going to be playing Uncharted 2. We'll just make it a trio, a three-man review. So thank you guys for voting on that, and please get in, please log your hog. We really need to get some wins in there, boys and girls. So thank you guys for hanging out, though. Until next time, live always in the nude.
Yeah!